What's going on, guys? Today is August 5th, 2020, or August 4th, depending on when you're watching this video. Um, Whatever day it is, I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to be doing an election prediction where Kamala Harris, senator from California, would have been the Democratic nominee, facing off against Republican incumbent President Donald Trump from the state of Florida. So, with that being said, as we know, Kamala Harris, for a time, was actually contesting Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination. She was doing better than Elizabeth Warren. She was doing better than Bernie Sanders. It was right after when she attacked Joe Biden for his segregationist comments, for his stance on busing, and it's really when she caught speed. But unfortunately for her, she didn't. She wasn't able to maintain that strength, that coalition that she had at the moment, at that time. So. Um, so yeah, um, just quickly going to be filling out the states that would be considered safe for both candidates. But considering how the current pandemic is affecting all of us, and it's currently affecting the president in polls, I feel like it would be a bit similar to what the current election looks like with Joe Biden, with Joe Biden going against the president. So, so just starting off. Kamala Harris would have 200 electoral votes, give or take, while the president would be coming in at around 100 something, 100, 121, or 126 actually. Okay, so just starting off our current map: 126 for the president, 200 for Kamala Harris. And we'll start off on the West Coast on Nevada, very Democratic state, high Latino vote, high Hispanic vote, minorities. Big population centers with Reno County, where Las Vegas is located, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, the county that I can't remember right now, but in the west of Nevada. That state, Washoe County there. I remember Washoe County are Democratic centers that have a big bunch of votes. So again, the president's approval rating is better in there than some battleground states, but it's not good historically for a president. So personally, I just think Kamala Harris would win that state pretty convincingly. I think it'd be pretty. It wouldn't be that close. It would be a bigger margin than it was in 2016. Same thing goes with Colorado. They both have the same traits. They both have high Hispanic vote, suburban areas, urban areas, minority votes, African American vote, which she'll do well. She'll be able to energize that base, energize that vote, and bring them out to vote. So, my opinion, I think she'll do well in Colorado. She'll win that state. Moving on to the Midwest, state of Iowa. Currently in the Joe Biden-Trump race, the president is still leading in this state in polls, along with Ohio. So, hypothetically, just speaking, if a candidate like Joe Biden, a more establishment candidate, isn't able to defeat Trump, is in polls at this point in the race, when he's favored, where he's ahead in polls by 8, 9, 10 points. I don't feel that Kamala Harris would be able to. So, hypothetically speaking, the president would keep these two states. The same thing goes with Texas. 38 electoral votes. 38 electoral votes the president needs to keep to be reelected. Although I feel it would be closer, it would be within 3 points. It wouldn't be called at poll closings. I do feel that she would do well, better than Hillary Clinton did, within 9 points. But I feel the president would still carry the state. Now moving on to Pennsylvania. There's a big African American vote in Philadelphia, which is heavily Democratic. I feel like she'd also do well with more moderate voters. I feel like she would have some issues with pro-gun Democrats, with Reagan Democrats, pro-life Democrats. But the fact is, the pandemic has hit this state hard, along with other Rust Belt states. So I feel like just the fact that the president is doing so poorly in this state would give Harris the state of Pennsylvania in her favor. Moving on to Michigan. another state with a huge African American vote. The closest state that the president won in 2016, won by around, I want to say, 40,000 votes. Again, if Hillary Clinton did that poorly against him, and in the polls Joe Biden is being shown as a clear-cut favorite by leading almost more than 10 points in a lot of polls, I think Kamala Harris wouldn't be winning by 10 points in those polls, but she would be definitely leading. Same thing goes with states like Minnesota, like Wisconsin. Again, Wisconsin is a pretty progressive state, but although it does have a lot of rural area, it does have a lot of rural area, a lot of white uneducated voters that support the president. So we'll leave Wisconsin for now, but Minnesota, I'm pretty confident that Kamala Harris would win. Moving on to the South, Florida, 29 electoral votes. Currently in polls where Joe Biden and Donald Trump are being polled, Joe Biden is winning by around 6, 7, or 5, 6 points. And again, Kamala Harris, I don't think would have those type of margins, although I think she would be leading in that state. It'd be close, definitely. And again, Florida is almost always close, regardless of who the candidates are in recent elections. But just trying to think, Kamala Harris would do well with the African American vote in the state, with the Hispanic vote in the state, more in those southern big three counties: Miami-Dade, Broward County, Orange County. But yeah, we'll leave that actually for later, just undecided currently. State of North Carolina. This is a state that in some polls Joe Biden is leading, some states the president is leading. And just with that being said, if a candidate like Joe Biden can't be leading in polls, I doubt that Kamala Harris would be contesting the state as much as Joe Biden is. So for the time being, hypothetically, I feel the president would win this state. Moving up to New England, a state of Maine, historically Democratic. The state at large has been mainly Democratic. The first congressional district has been Democratic. The question is the second congressional district. Would Kamala Harris be able to win back those voters that switched to Trump in 2016 that previously voted for Obama? And personally, again, there is a lot of elderly population in this congressional district. It's more rural. It's more there's very few suburban area. There's a very few amount of suburban area in this congressional district. But just seeing how bad the president is doing in this state, I think Kamala Harris would barely win that state, that congressional district. The same thing goes with New Hampshire. Usually, as you see in 2016, Donald Trump did surprisingly well in that state. He only lost by 0.1% in that state, and but currently his approval rating is really bad in that state. A lot of independents and moderate Republicans are turning away from Trump in this state. So definitely I feel that Kamala Harris would win this state, putting at 269 electoral votes. So just for Trump to tie, he would need to win the rest of the votes. But personally, a state I do think he would win would be the state of Arizona. Although there is a big population of Hispanic voters, of minority voters, I don't feel that the big lead that Joe Biden is getting in the polls currently would be the same for Kamala Harris. Just because I don't feel she'd be able to appeal to those more moderate voters, to those be able to cut into that that advantage that the president has with white voters, with white uneducated voters, and in rural areas. So for the time being, hypothetically, we'll give that state to the president. But yeah, quickly just to wrap up this video, state of Wisconsin. I left this state just because there's a huge rural area in the state. There's a lot, but there's also a great population center in Milwaukee. But seeing how President Trump barely won his state, seeing how the state in 2018 voted for Democratic governor, New Democrats in the House of Representatives, I see Kamala Harris narrowly but winning this state. which would put her over 270 needed to be elected president, becoming the first woman president in the United States, the second African American, and the first woman president. So with that being said, the only states that remain are Georgia and Florida. Um, Seeing how Joe Biden is doing in the state of Georgia, I feel like given the amount of African American people in the state, she'll do well. But I don't feel she'll do well enough in rural areas, in pro-gun areas where the president thrives in. So we'll be giving this to the president. And thinking about how Florida, the Panhandle, has a major elderly vote that usually goes with Republicans. And although the president's margin with elderly voters is shrinking, I feel he'll do well enough in the Panhandle, in rural areas, and in the I-4 corridor to be able to pull out the state narrowly. So, with that being said, this is gonna wrap up our video. Kamala Harris in this scenario would be getting 279 electoral votes to the president's 259. But yeah, Kamala Harris would become the first woman president, excuse me, and the second African American president. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hope you guys consider leaving a like, commenting any suggestions, and subscribing. Yeah, hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll catch you in the next one.